In the mid-1950s, Ford decided to try their luck in the high-end luxury car market and launched a whole new division to do it. For 2 short years, in 1956 and 57, the Continental division built one of the most beautiful cars of all time, the Mark II. Well, today we're down in Ocala, Florida with Rick Schmidt. Rick, great to have you on the show again.
Good to see you too, Dennis.
Rick's always got great cars when I come down here, but he's got one of my personal favorites, the 56 Continental Mark II.
Right, Continental, not Lincoln.
Not Lincoln Continental.
The Continental division was started in 1956, well, started prior to that, but specifically to introduce the 56 Continental Mark II.
And then only ran 2 years.
For 2 years.
57.
Right, it was a very expensive, a very bold experiment by Ford to prove to the world that they could build and construct a hand-built, ultra-elite luxury car.
And that it is. And from a design standpoint, what a departure from everything else that was going on in the 50s.
It really was, and it was very much ahead of its time, very clean, low, sleek.
This thing's so beautiful, and
Right.
it's a timeless design. It still looks great today. You had the Continental bump in the trunk, gotta have that.
The trademark bump in the
Of
trunk.
course, exhaust coming out the bumper.
All sorts of little features and details on this car. The gas filler is hidden behind the taillight
That's
there.
just too cool.
Everywhere you look on this car, you find small details like that, right down to the door handles and the rear view mirrors. Everything was really designed for this car, specifically for it, and everything you look at is really a work of art.
Well, and the interior is just continuing that. It's just stunning. It's just beautiful.
Right. There's the interior, again, very futuristic, very what I would consider kind of concept car, show car for its time. It's the type of interior you would expect to see in those futuristic magazine articles, but not in a production car such as this.
Well, now this is a special car to begin with, but this is a special Mark II. That WCF on the steering wheel?
This car was the personal car of William Clay Ford, who also owns the Detroit Lions.
Hence the blue and silver?
Hence the blue and silver. It's Honolulu blue and silver, which were William Clay's personal colors.
Wow. Now, these were powered by 368 originally. But he had this thing all gone through, eh?
He drove this car considerably. In 1968, he pulled it into Ford Engineering and gave the orders that he wanted it retrofitted with all 1969 Mark III drivetrain to make it more drivable. So it's got a 460 V8 C6 transmission.
I gotta see it.
It's even got disc brakes on the front, which originally were not equipped on these cars.
Wow, fits pretty well.
It fits right in there. It's a little bit tight on the steering box, and when you get it up on the rack, it's they had to do a little bit of chopping up on the frame to make the transmission fit in. But other than that, it's a pretty direct drop-in.
So a few other tricks, like the distributor looks a little different.
Yes, there's some experimental pieces in here, and the distributor is one of them. That's a one-off hand-built distributor. That's a 460 distributor that's been modified to accept the tack cable for a gear-driven tack.
Now, one thing that strikes me though is this is clearly a modified car, but you're sporting a AACA senior first place prize here.
Right, we approached AACA with this car with considerable documentation showing, proving that it was William Clay Ford's car and that all the modifications did take place within the walls of Ford. And they went ahead and gave us the green light to show it in the stock division of AACA, where it's reached its senior level.
So modifications are okay if they're done by Ford Engineering, right?
I suppose, or GM or Chrysler, depending on the origin of the car.
It's just incredible, and Honolulu blue is so beautiful. And this was his daily driver.
Yes, an interesting story is that we were fortunate enough to be invited to display the car in front of a world headquarters for the Ford 100th anniversary. And the day we got there, it was raining, so they offered to store it in the executive garage at world headquarters. And the employees there had been there for years,
said,
the same
"Hey,
employees.
I know this car."
I pulled up in the car and they came running out of this booth and say, "Hey, that car, we remember that car.
Wow.
That's Mr. Ford's car, isn't it?" And they remembered it very well.
Well, let's pretend our name's Ford.
Let's
go drive this baby.
Of course. Let's go.
Close her up.
Welcome back to My Classic Car as we go for a ride in this stunning 56 Continental Mark II.
Now, how long have you had this one in the family, Rick?
This car came to us, if I remember correctly. There's so many, but
what a problem to have.
Actually, this is one of the earlier cars. One of the cars we've owned the longest. I think Dad bought it in 1980.
Now, what kind of shape was it in?
It was kind of rough. Mr. Ford had commissioned a restoration, a re-restoration on it in the mid-70s by a company out west that didn't do the best of work. So it's been a roughly 20-year journey in getting this car from the way we received it, from purchasing it out of that warehouse in Detroit to where it is today.
Well, it's just beautiful. $10,000 in 1956.
That was a whole ton of money. That was
It was twice as much as the Premier. The Premier was $4,600.
Right, a fully decked out Cadillac Eldorado was roughly $5,000. You could buy 2 Eldorados for the price of one of these. You could buy 3 Thunderbirds for the price of one of these. So indeed, it was an expensive car.
Sort of the high watermark in price, absolutely. Now that's a much bigger engine for the 460 versus the 368. I mean, do you believe it's got a lot more power than the original, or?
I believe it does. I've driven both cars, and my father and I have differing views on this, but maybe I've just tended to lay into the gas a little bit more than he has. But,
go figure.
But this 460 and this Mark II, it'll really cook right along, and it does really well at highway speeds too. Once you get on the highway, you can just speed right up to on the interstate to 70 or
just cruise
and go right with the flow of traffic. The car is actually very practical for driving. You know, other than your worst fear of a rock chip on the nose of it, it can drive anywhere. I've driven it to several shows over 100, 200 mile spans.
And it floats along. I mean, it really does seem to have a lovely ride.
It rides beautifully. It's very tight. It's very rattle-free. It's a nice driving car.
Not a bad turning radius for a boat either, I gotta say.
No, not too bad, relatively speaking.
Rick, that is absolutely beautiful. What a great car, man.
Yeah, it's a real experience driving this one.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
You know, I love coming down here, and I wouldn't mind driving this one. You don't think I could actually?
Anytime. In fact, we can go out right now if you'd like to.
You know, I kind of would.
Okay.
That's why I like coming
Plenty
down
of gas
here.
left.
All
All
right.
right.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to My Classic Car. Rick pulled out one of my favorites from his collection of low-mileage, unrestored originals.
Rick, 71 Boat Tail Riv. I love these. These are some of the wildest cars GM ever made.
It really was one of the most daring designs that GM ever put the green light to.
Now, it's very close to the concept car that preceded this a little bit. I think it was the Silver Arrow, but
Right.
it looked a heck of a lot like this car.
Right. This car really is. It looks like a rolling concept car going down the road, and it's very impractical from a functionality standpoint. It's got huge dimensions, but very little cockpit space. Not a whole lot of
passenger, right?
Right.
4-passenger with 2 very small passengers
Exactly.
in the back.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you know, gorgeous car, and typical of the cars in your collection, it's a low mileage, unrestored original.
Right, it's got 27,000 original miles, very well cared for miles, because that really makes a difference, and all original paint. It's pretty much
Just
the
amazing.
way it was built.
Just beautiful car, and you know, and the interior is very, I don't know, it's very sporty for something this big, and it's very intimate.
Right, it's a good mix of luxury and sport. They worked in the engine turned dash effect there.
That looks cool, and very, you know, very cockpit oriented.
Right, the center console. The tachometer there was a aftermarket tach that the original owner installed to sport things up a little bit. And I've got the console pieces to put that back to original, but I haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, all
it
in
looks
due time.
It looks kind of neat there.
You got a few cars to work on anyway, you know.
Yeah.
Now, original interior too, unrestored here.
All original interior, the carpets, the seat upholstery, everything's unrestored.
Man, I gotta believe that's a good thing, because nobody's repopping parts for these. There just weren't enough of them.
There weren't enough of them, and there's even fewer left today, because through the late 70s and 80s, they were just an underappreciated used car. So
people just let them go,
many even just got
basically.
driven into the ground.
Yeah.
So there are really no reproduction parts for this car. So if you don't have a good car to begin with,
You got a problem.
you're paddling upstream. Yeah.
Well, they only did this body style for 3 years, 71, 2, and 3. And I think 71 was the only one that had these wild louvers
Right.
in the trunk.
And what they do, I couldn't tell you. I think they were just for styling
Just decoration,
purposes.
huh?
Right.
But I think they went away after that. Also, I see that
it's
this
hot
is
enough today that we could probably cook hot dogs on there.
But you had a center budded seam there on the back
That was
window.
a one-year only thing also. It's a two-piece glass that's bonded in the center, and from what I've been told, they from rear-end collision testing or practical experience, they were finding that the two pieces of glass were losing their bond and then jettisoning right into the
That can't be a good thing. It just no, definitely not.
You'd either want to be short or
or you would be short.
Right.
All right, you know, big, massive Buick. I gotta believe it's got a big, massive Buick engine.
Yeah,
under
it's
the
got
hood.
the Top Gun, the 455 4-barrel in it.
Let's pop it open and have a look.
Absolutely.
You know, that's one long hood too.
Yeah. Takes a couple of front car springs to hold this
Heavy
one.
duty. Huh?
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. Now this is a 455 cubic inch. Buick had finally converted to telling the truth about how big the engine was.
Right, exactly. It's a 455 cubic inch instead of in the past.
Foot-pounds of torque is what they used to.
Right.
Like 445 was that was foot-pounds torque, but this is 455 cubic inch. Now it looks like the engine's had a little freshening done to it.
Yeah, it's all original under the hood, but we did repaint the valve covers in the block. It was one of those snowball effect types of deals where we needed to fix a water leak by the timing cover, and once we had everything disassembled on the front end of the motor, it just made good sense to freshen that up. So that we touched, but the firewall and all the aprons and just all the accessories that you see in and around the engine compartment, that's all original.
Well, you know, I mean, it looks great inside and out. How does it run? Does it drive?
It drives as great as it looks, like a brand new one.
Let's button it up.
Alrighty.
I mean, you pretty much know the drill. This is the time of the show. I say, hey, let's take this out for a drive, but let's cut to the chase. What do you say I drive it this time?
No problem.
Man,
More than welcome.
Let's go. Ooh, cool door handle too.
Welcome back to My Classic Car. Rick's 1971 Boat Tail Riv is really a unique car, and I just couldn't wait any longer. Life is good.
This is an amazing cruiser. This thing is so smooth.
Yeah, it drives very smooth, and because the car's never been apart, it's got low miles, it really does drive like a new one should.
You know what's different though, and every time I get into a car of this era, first thing I recognize is how little the steering wheel is. It feels great. When I was a kid, I remember seeing these things go down the road, and there was nothing like them on the road. They just looked awesome.
Yeah, when I was young, these cars always caught my attention right away. If you saw one going down the road, that was the car you were looking at because it was just so unique compared to anything else you saw.
And they had that, you know, with the way the thing's laid out, it's just this, you know, everything was so futuristic back then. So you get that kind of Starship cruiser feel out of it.
It was one of the more exotic cars on the road.
But like you said, I mean, it is not very practical. It's a 4-passenger car.
Yeah, I mean, the trunk isn't very large, and look at how much hood you have out there in front of you.
You could land a small aircraft on that hood. It's just amazing. But this is a car that, you know, it almost looks like a lowrider without dropping it.
Yeah, it does. They're very commonly customized. They're very popular along hot rodders and custom car builders because
well, it does customize well.
They're radical stock, and they're just unworldly when you really start playing with them and putting on the brighter metallic colors.
Yeah, a set of 20s on this.
Yeah.
Great. You know, not that it really mattered back then, but you know, with the 455 and this thing, it has to weigh 2.5 tons.
Easily.
What kind of mileage would this have gotten?
Oh, I would guesstimate somewhere between 8 and 10 in the city and 14 to 16 on the highway.
If you're behaving yourself.
Be typical if you're behaving yourself.
But again, at what, 30 cents a gallon back then?
Back then it wasn't nearly the issue that it is today.
Oh man, what a cool ride. You know, I love coming down here, Rick. Not only do you have great cars, but you let me drive them. Oh, man.
It's good for them to get driven, so whenever you feel like coming down, just tell us what you'd like to drive. I'll get it ready for you.
Well, you know, we could be doing this for a long time.
There's a lot of cars to get
well,
through.
let's talk about it on the way back to the shop.
All right,
All right.
let's go.